and I can't see, because this is an old piece of paper, I can't see whether it's still got its sizing or it's going to go funny. I think it's okay. I'm wetting it all. The bottom will probably dry by the time I get down there, but not to worry. You know the drill. Nice sheen, no puddle. And we'll just let it soak in a bit. That's it. It's all done. Now, probably, oh, I don't know, I might need that. So I'm going to use, I'm going to have a blue sky because we are talking about spring and sunny days. So I'm using cobalt blue because I like the gentle blue of cobalt more than ultramarine. So on a fairly wet mix on my biggest brush, I'm going to want sort of cloud-like thing. So you push bits in. Make sure your corners have got the blue and then leave gaps. I'm just pushing it about so that you get a cloudy, those nice spring clouds you get. Need a little bit more blue. I like to do the blue or the sky with darker corners a bit. And that's all you need for the sky. It should be bleeding into and softening, so it's sort of a nice spring sky. And then I'm going to get a little bit of lemon yellow, and I'm just going to just draw that across that background bit. So that's now whilst that's still wet, I'm going to do a little bit of splattering. So start off with some green. I'm using a smaller brush than I was. And into that green, I'm going to put a little bit of the lemon yellow so that it's a nice bright green. And get a bit of paper. And just do some little splats. And then I'm going to get some of the green neat. I'm still fairly light. And just a little bit of a darker green splat. I'm still letting the yellow come through. Then I'm just going to go a bit darker with the green. And lastly, we're doing this quickly because we have to get it all in whilst it's still wet, and then we dry. And lastly, a little bit of the pink, or whatever flower colour you're going to use. And I've got pink all in my sky, which is not good. Oh, gosh. Fucking it up with a thirsty brush. Trouble is, I think it's a staining pink. That's a good reason to have a bigger piece of paper. Ooh, that's stained. We might be doing some cropping. Or they might become birds. Not pink birds, obviously, but anyway, so the background, the foreground should look like that. And I think I've missed my opportunity for salt. But I'm not worried. Yeah, that's not doing anything. And now we're going to let it dry. My salt didn't work because it was too dry when I put it on, so not to worry. So I've got a thin rigger, and I've got some of my pink colour. And the first thing is to decide how far up the page we're going to go, and put what you think is your tallest one in. Now I've gone 1/3 in and 2/3 up. So this, well, less than 2/3. So this is where I'm going with that. Tulip shape, more on the left side than the right side, but it's up to you. And I'll do some little bits. And then you're going to be either very good at this by the time you're finished, some are not so tall. Mine have got a little bit of a list because I've got a wind blowing. So tulip shape and some extra tendrils or whatever. Remember to do them bigger than I would normally. Do your tulip shape. Floating tulips. It keeps you quiet for a while. You could make them different colours. And if you've got a better way of drawing a tulip, then please do, because I'll just put my hand in. I'm not doing well today. I think that may do me. Still using thin brush, I am now going to do the stems of that. And I've got some of the darker green that I used in there. And just think where your stems want to go. And I'm just doing them with a bit of a bend. We're going to put more leaves and grasses around them, so it's not. So that one I'm going to bring down there. And this one, so I'm not really finishing, I'm just making them quite long. I'm not finishing them in the foreground. Decide which one goes over the top of the other if you've got too close. And that one's an upright one, so it better not bend too much on him. That one's pointing over there. And so is that. Oh. So all my tulips are now joined. Now's the time to have a look and think, oh, I could actually do a few more. So I'm just doing a few more pink dots. Tulip shape and lines. Tulip shape, lines. Oh, that one's still floating, or have I just done that? Tulip shape, lines. Okay, that's probably enough. I'm probably in the area of over tuliping. Did I do one there? Yeah. Oh, on that one. So decide which one's going over which. Next on the list are the grass grass heads. And I'm going to do the heads first. So line. And some little lines coming off, very feathery, very lightly. I'm hardly touching the paper. So one in there. Very light little strokes, just the heads at the moment. And I'm just going to get a little bit of, I think that's burnt umber. I'm just going to do a couple of heads in a goldy colour. Just to bring the changes. So we've got floating grass now. And join the grasses up to the ground. So the green grass needs green stems. Again, don't bother to finish them off in the foreground. We'll alter the foreground in a bit.
Seriously.
And that's all the green ones. Got a couple of goldy coloured ones. So then bring those. And I'm going to do the foreground grasses now. We've done, so I've got two greens mixed up and a fairly reasonable sized brush. And I'm just pushing up. I'm not covering it entirely. And before that can dry, I am going to get either my nail or this little knife and just pull bits up. Left that too long, but we're going to go over a bit with the, so I'm just trying not to dig into the paper too much, but just pulling bits up. Going into the dark green, same thing, and then with the with your nail, do it with the nail. Not enough paint. So that's it. It's just as easy to do with your nail, really. Just think of how grass looks, and if you're down at grass level, I've got it's scraping the paint off so that it's white down the bottom. And with a very thin brush and the dark green, just do a few, remembering where the light comes from, just do a few light lines on the side of a leaf where you've got a little bit of white. So there's a bit there. So I'm going to the left-hand side of a bit of white. This is officially faffing, obviously. It gives it a bit of a different texture. So I've got some there, some there. It picks out the individual ones. So it separates them out a bit. So in that grass, you've got some white that we scraped. You've got two different colour greens, and then you've got this dark that we're putting on now, just to highlight. I pulled that one up a bit, so I'm just going to make that a bit feathery. And then I try and stop now. If you see a bit where you've got the bottoms of flowers, but it's not anchored to anything, because we said we'd fix it with the grass, you can either anchor that into there or do a bit of grass to go over the top. I'm just pulling a few down. because there's one or two that just stop mid-air, which is fine. And the last bit I'm going to do is going to get some, a dark colour and just do a few birds. Just do the little bodies. And if you haven't got very much definition shadow-wise, I'm just going in with a little bit of alizarin crimson now on the tulips, just on that left, just to give it some shadow. Sorry, my hand's going across the... Just on that left side there. And the other thing I'm going to do is with a bit of green, just do that bottom bit where they join to the stem. I'm sure there's a botanical name. Just that wider bit at the top. Have I done them all? I've done that one